Ethan Shaw sat hunched over his workstation, the glow from 3 monitors casting sharp shadows across his rugged face. His fingers tapped with surgical precision over the keyboard, weaving through layers of firewalls and encryption like a ghost slipping through walls. Every keystroke was a calculated strike against a faceless enemy, the corporation's iron grip tightening around the skyscraper and its sinister secrets. Behind him, a dim red light blinked on a server rack, a quiet sentinel guarding the treasure trove of data Ethan and Lila sought to expose. "Almost there," Ethan muttered, eyes flickering between schematics and code. "Naomi, you still good on your end?" The faint crackle of their encrypted channel answered back. "Yes, but I'm worried about being spotted. The cameras in the lab have high sensitivity, and I can't afford to linger." Naomi Chen's voice was steady but carried the edge of contained anxiety. In the sterile, brightly lit lab far above, Naomi's delicate fingers danced over a portable terminal, transferring critical files she had risked her career to acquire. She glanced nervously at the door, heart pounding as footsteps echoed faintly outside. Her breath hitched, but she pressed on, knowing her sacrifice was essential. These files contained the blueprint of the mind control experiments, the digital fingerprints of the corporation's darkest ambitions. Back in the depths of the skyscraper's hidden sub-basement, Lila Morgan crouched behind a row of humming machinery, her sharp eyes scanning the corridors for any sign of movement. The faint whir of servers and the occasional buzz of a distant alarm were the only companions in the oppressive silence. Her earpiece crackled softly. "Ethan, status?" "We're in. Cameras are looping." "You've got a 5-minute window before the system kicks back in," Ethan replied, voice tight with anticipation. "Move fast." Lila's heart hammered in her chest as she slipped out from cover, her footsteps muffled by the thick industrial carpeting. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified in the cavernous underground. She accessed a terminal embedded in the wall, fingers flying over the touchpad to bypass security protocols. The digital assault waged by Ethan and Naomi was her lifeline. Without it, she'd be blind and vulnerable. "Naomi, any update on the external systems?" Lila whispered, barely audible. "Still feeding you data? Watch your 6, there's chatter on the security comms. They know something's off," Naomi warned. The tension coiled tighter as alarms suddenly blared somewhere deep within the sub-basement. Lila froze, heart in her throat. Ethan's voice came through, sharper now. "They're on to us. I'm pushing harder to keep their eyes off you, but the system's fighting back." Sweat beaded on Lila's forehead as she initiated a secondary breach aimed at disabling the lockdown protocols that could trap her underground. Her mind raced, every second counted. She could almost feel the eyes of the corporation's security apparatus closing in like a predator. Meanwhile, Ethan's fingers moved faster than ever, launching a barrage of cyberattacks designed to overload the building's AI-driven defenses. Each strike was a gamble, risking detection but necessary to buy Lila the precious moments she needed. Naomi, from her hidden vantage, monitored the flow of data, her fingers trembling slightly as she countered the corporation's attempts to trace their incursion. "Lila, you're clear to move to the next node," Ethan instructed, relief barely perceptible in his voice. "But after that, we've got maybe 2 minutes before they reboot the system." Lila's nod was invisible, but resolute. She sprinted through the sterile corridors, the sterile smell of antiseptic and cold metal filling her nostrils. The sub-basement's lights flickered as Ethan's cyber barrage struck hard, casting long, jittering shadows across the walls. Suddenly, a faint voice cut through the static in her earpiece. "Javier Cruz is mobilizing patrols. You need to be ready to move fast." Naomi's voice was low but urgent. The name triggered a flash of cold dread in Lila's gut. Javier Cruz, Marcus Vell's ruthless security chief, was an unyielding force. She tightened her grip on the small data drive she had just extracted from the terminal. Her mission was far from over, but for this moment, she was alive and one step closer to exposing the nightmare beneath the skyscraper. The comms fell silent for a heartbeat before Ethan cracked a grin in his voice. "Good job down there, Lila. We're all in this together." Layla's breath caught at the simple reassurance. In the darkness of betrayal, surveillance, and erased memories, their fragile alliance was a flicker of light. But as the alarms began their slow climb back to full power, she knew the fight was only just beginning. And somewhere in the shadows, Dr. Marcus Vell was watching, calculating, waiting for the next move. The stakes had never been higher, and the allies in the dark were racing against time to shatter the corporation's hold on truth and identity. The night stretched on, endless and merciless, but Lila Morgan's resolve burned brighter than ever. She would fight, no matter the cost. The future depended on it. Lila Morgan moved silently between towering racks of blinking hardware, each one a fortress of digital secrets. She kept her breath shallow, her movements deliberate. Eyes darting over lines of code and encrypted data streams cascading across her portable terminal. This was the core, the heart of the labyrinthine system controlling the sinister experiments beneath the skyscraper. "You're in," Ethan's voice crackled softly through her earpiece, steady and reassuring. "Firewall's holding, but the countermeasures are tightening. You've got maybe 5 minutes before they reroute security protocols?" Layla's fingers danced across the keyboard, bypassing layers of encryption with practiced precision. Each command was a calculated risk. One wrong move and the entire system would lock down, trapping her in a digital cage with no escape. She swallowed the lump in her throat, feeling the familiar surge of adrenaline that accompanied every hack, that inexplicable blend of fear and exhilaration. Around her, the room was bathed in sterile, bluish light, reflecting off the polished floors and cold metal surfaces. The faint scent of ozone from the servers mingled with the stale air, a constant reminder of the artificial environment she had infiltrated. Her heart pounded in her ears as she located the data nodes containing files on the mind manipulation experiments, the proof she needed to expose the corporation's darkest secrets. Suddenly, a sharp, piercing beep shattered the silence. Red emergency lights flooded the room, bathing everything in a sinister glow. The alarm screamed through the speakers, echoing off the walls. Lila's breath hitched. "Security breach detected," a cold voice announced over the intercom. "They're on to you," Ethan warned urgently. "You need to move now." "I'm scrambling the cameras, but they'll be here any second." Hands trembling slightly, Lila accelerated her download, the progress bar inching forward agonizingly slow. Outside the data center, heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors, the unmistakable sound of approaching security forces. Javier Cruz, Marcus Vell's relentless security chief, was known for his ruthlessness and tactical precision. Lila's mind raced. She had anticipated a confrontation, but the timing was brutal. She ducked behind a server rack, the cold metal pressing against her back as she frantically typed commands to complete the extraction. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she felt the walls closing in, the digital and physical threats merging into a suffocating pressure. "Almost there," she muttered, teeth clenched. "Hold on." Ethan's voice remained a lifeline, calm amidst the chaos. "I'm keeping their systems scrambled for as long as I can, but this won't hold forever. You need an exit strategy." The door to the data center slammed open. Javier Cruz stepped inside, his imposing figure silhouetted against the red emergency lights. His cold gaze swept the room, narrowing as he spotted the faint glow of Lila's terminal screen. "End of the line," he said quietly, drawing a stun baton from his belt. Lila's pulse quickened. There was no time for hesitation. She sprang from her hiding spot, sprinting toward the narrow maintenance hatch Ethan had located earlier. Cruz lunged after her, the crackle of electricity buzzing in the charged air. Layla's hand shot out, slamming the hatch open and pulling herself inside just as Cruz's baton grazed her shoulder. The hatch sealed shut behind her, plunging her into darkness. She gasped, pain flaring but determination burning brighter. In her hands, the terminal beeped, download complete. The evidence was in her possession. "Got it," she whispered, voice hoarse but triumphant. "Now we expose them." Yet, even as relief coursed through her veins, a new dread settled in. The fight was far from over. The corporation would come for her with everything they had, and the deeper shadows of the skyscraper still held countless secrets waiting to be unraveled. Layla closed her eyes for a moment, steeling herself. This was the tipping edge, the precipice between exposure and oblivion. She would not fall. "Ethan," she said, voice steady, "let's finish this." And with that, she plunged deeper into the darkness, the battle for truth only just beginning. Soft cables and sensors adhered delicately to Lila temples and forehead, a technological embrace that felt both alien and oddly comforting. The small safe house, tucked away in a forgotten part of the city, was a stark contrast to the cold, clinical environments Lila had glimpsed in the building's sub-basement. Here, the air was thick with anticipation and a faint scent of jasmine from a candle Naomi had lit to ease the tension. Layla sat rigidly on the worn leather chair, her sharp eyes flicking to Naomi's calm, observant face. "Are you ready?" Naomi asked, her voice barely above a whisper, but steady enough to anchor Layla's swirling thoughts. "I have to be," Lila plied, swallowing hard. "I can't keep living with these gaps like someone's been erasing pieces of me." Naomi nodded, adjusting the sensors with practiced precision. "We're going to try something different today. Neurofeedback to help stabilize the neural pathways disrupted by whatever they did to you. It's delicate, but it might help you reclaim the fragments of your memory without overwhelming your system." Layla took a deep breath, the metallic taste of adrenaline sharp in her mouth. She closed her eyes as Naomi began the session, soft lights blinking on the interface, reflecting patterns of brain activity. Within moments, the familiar chaos of fragmented memories surged forward, faces she couldn't place. Voices echoing in half-remembered conversations, the cold sterility of the sub-basement corridors. The flood was disorienting. Layla's breath hitched as flashes of herself, frightened, angry, determined, flickered behind closed eyelids. She felt the weight of years compressed into fractured moments, a puzzle missing too many pieces. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, blurring the harsh edges of her mental landscape. "Focus on my voice," Naomi urged gently, her hand steady on Layla's shoulder. "Ground yourself. You're safe here? You're in control?" Layla gritted her teeth, clutching the armrest as the waves crashed. Slowly, the chaos began to settle. The fragmented images started to coalesce, edges smoothing into shapes she could recognize. Memories weren't perfect, scars and distortions remained, but the solid core of her identity began to reassert itself. "You're doing great," Naomi encouraged, her eyes reflecting a mixture of empathy and scientific curiosity. "These sessions will help reinforce your neural pathways. It's not about erasing the past, but reclaiming it on your terms." Hours passed in this delicate dance between mind and machine. The outside world faded as Lila delved deeper into the recesses of her consciousness, battling the invasive manipulations imposed on her. Each breakthrough was a victory, each relapse a reminder of the stakes. At one point, a particularly harrowing memory pierced through. A shadowy figure in a lab, cold instruments, whispered threats about compliance and control. Layla's body tensed, a shudder rippling through her frame. But Naomi's steady presence was a lifeline anchoring her back from the brink. When the session finally ended, Layla opened her eyes to the soft amber glow of dawn filtering through the curtains. The world felt sharper, her mind clearer, though the emotional cost weighed heavy. She met Naomi's gaze and managed a weary smile. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not letting me fall apart." Naomi returned the smile, a flicker of hope shining through her own exhaustion. "We're just getting started." With her memory stabilized, Layla felt a renewed sense of purpose. The murky veil that had obscured her past was lifting, and with it, the paralyzing fear that had threatened to consume her. She was ready to face the labyrinth of lies and manipulation once more, stronger, sharper, and more determined than ever. As she stood, the weight of the skyscraper's secrets pressed down, but so did the fierce fire of resistance within her. The fragments of her past had been reclaimed, but the war was far from over. Somewhere, deep beneath the city, the hidden sub-basement awaited, and with it, the truth that could change everything. Layla's piercing gaze hardened. She was no longer just a victim of the experiment, she was its reckoning. And the countdown had begun. His hands moved with precise, practiced rhythm over the keyboards, fingers tapping commands that rippled through cyberspace. Each line of code was a calculated strike against the fortress of firewalls guarding the skyscraper's darkest secrets. Layla Morgan stood nearby, eyes fixed on her own screen, fingers ready but restrained. The room was thick with tension, the kind that made breaths shallow and time stretch thin. Ethan's face, illuminated by the digital glow, betrayed a fierce determination tempered by the knowledge of what was at stake. "Almost there," Ethan murmured, voice low, eyes flicking between multiple data streams. "This firewall's tougher than I thought. They've layered detection protocols that can trace us in seconds if I slip up." Layla's pulse quickened. "We don't have much time. Once you crack it, I need to dive in and grab the files. We have to get the broadcast running before they shut us out." The skyscraper loomed outside the rain-streaked window, an unyielding monolith hiding 10 floors of malevolent secrets beneath its glass facade. Tonight it was a digital battleground. Ethan's fingers accelerated, bypassing one encrypted barrier after another. Suddenly, a series of red alerts blinked on his screen. "They're countering. Active trace protocols are engaging." "We've been detected," he said, voice tight. A bead of sweat traced down Layla's temple. "Keep going. That back door has to hold." The cyber defenses launched waves of countermeasures, malware, trace packets, firewall reinforcements. Each assault met with Ethan's deft skill. The room pulsed with the quiet chaos of an invisible war waged in bits and bytes. Then, a sliver of opportunity, a narrow breach in the firewall flickered open. Ethan's fingers flew, widening the digital gap just enough for Layla to slip through. Instantly, her screen flooded with encrypted files, logs, experimental data, video feeds, the evidence she'd fought so hard to find. "I'm in," Layla breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Starting data extraction and broadcasting protocols now." Outside the window, distant sirens wove through the night air, an ominous reminder of the corporation's vigilance. Ethan leaned back, exhaustion flickering across his face. "I'm pulling out before they trace us completely. You've got one shot, make it count." Layla's fingers danced over the keyboard, deploying scripts to disseminate the files across unsecured networks and social media channels. The broadcast would be live, raw, and unfiltered, a digital scream exposing the sub-basement's horrors to the world. As the data streamed, a sudden spike in network traffic set off alarms on Layla's screen. Security forces were mobilizing, their digital fingerprints quickening the corporation's defensive maneuvers. "They know," Layla said, heart pounding. "I'm almost done." "Ethan, cover me if they try to lock me out." Through the window, the city's neon glow flickered, reflecting the chaotic pulse of a battle fought in silence, but with stakes as lethal as any physical confrontation. Time was running out, and failure meant not just losing the fight, but losing themselves to the erasure engineered in those hidden floors below. With a final keystroke, Layla sent the last packets of data into the ether. The broadcast ignited across screens and devices, a beacon of truth piercing the corporate veil. She exhaled sharply, but the victory was tempered by the knowledge that this night was far from over. Somewhere, behind fortified walls and watchful eyes, the forces she dared to defy were rallying for a counterstrike. Ethan's voice crackled through the encrypted comlink, steady and resolute. "You did it, Layla. Now, let's get out of here before they come for us." The network breach was complete, a digital gateway flung open in defiance. But the shadows lurking beneath the skyscraper were already stirring, and the descent into the depths of deception was only just beginning. Layla glanced at the blinking cursor on her screen, the live broadcast rolling out to an unsuspecting world. Somewhere in the labyrinth 10 floors below, Dr. Marcus Vell's empire of control was trembling. And so was she. Outside, the rain drummed steadily against the window pane, a relentless assault that mirrored the storm raging within her mind. Each file she cracked open peeled back another layer of the corporation's tangled web, and with it came revelations more devastating than the last. It was Ethan's name that flickered on the screen, a series of encrypted communications between him and an unknown contact within the corporation. The messages were brief but loaded, coordinates, times, and cryptic warnings. A cold knot tightened in Layla's stomach. Could Ethan, her trusted confidant, be the mole she had feared? Was the man who had stood beside her through countless digital battles now undermining everything? Her fingers trembled as she replayed their last conversation, the easy camaraderie, the quiet moments of trust. Had it all been a lie? The room felt suddenly claustrophobic. the hum of the machines deafening. She leaned back, eyes closing briefly as a surge of disbelief and betrayal washed over her. Determined to confront the truth, Lila arranged a meeting with Ethan, the chosen spot, an abandoned parking garage far from prying eyes. The night air was cold and sharp, breaths forming fleeting clouds as they met beneath the harsh glare of flickering fluorescent lights. Ethan's usual confident smile was absent, replaced by a wary tension that mirrored her own. "Layla," he began, voice low and steady, "I owe you an explanation." "You've been feeding information to Marcus," she accused, voice tight with hurt. "Why? Who are you really working for?" Ethan's jaw clenched. "It's not what you think. I'm trying to protect you. The deeper I go, the more dangerous it gets." But the cracks in their alliance were too deep. The seed of doubt had been planted, and Leela's mind raced through every shared plan, every whispered confidence. Could she afford to trust him any longer? Seeking clarity, Lila reached out to Naomi Chun, the scientist whose ethical struggle paralleled her own. They met in the stark underground server room where the air hummed with electric charge and the faint scent of ozone. Naomi's delicate hands shook slightly as she handed over data files revealing a network of double agents embedded within the corporation and the project. "They're watching us," Naomi whispered, eyes darting nervously. "Even those closest to us could be compromised." The weight of Naomi's confession pressed heavily on Layla's shoulders. The lines between friend and foe blurred in the cold light of surveillance and espionage. No sooner had she absorbed the new information than a sharp alarm shattered the fragile calm. Javier Cruz, the unyielding security chief, had tracked her to the control hub. The room erupted into chaos, the metallic clang of weapons, the staccato beep of security systems, and the sharp scent of adrenaline hung thick in the air. Layla's mind raced, fingers flying over the keyboard as she worked to override the lockdown protocols. Every second was a battle between survival and capture. She ducked behind consoles, heart hammering as guards closed in. The stakes had never been higher. In the midst of the turmoil, Lila's thoughts flickered to the betrayals uncovered, the fragile alliances shattered by secrets and lies, yet beneath the turmoil a fierce resolve blazed. She would expose the conspiracy, no matter the cost, no matter the enemy's face, even if that enemy walked beside her. As the chapter draws to a close, Lila escapes the control hub by a hair's breadth, leaving behind a trail of digital chaos and uncertainty. The question lingers in the charged silence: who can she trust when betrayal echoes from every shadow? The night outside is still heavy with rain, but within Layla, a storm of determination begins to rise anew. The game has changed, and the stakes are higher than ever. Her fight is far from over. The depths of deception have been revealed, but so has the depth of her resolve. And in the shadows, the unseen eyes of the corporation watch and wait for her next move. Naomi Chun worked feverishly beneath the flickering fluorescent lights. The glow from the multiple monitors cast eerie shadows across their determined faces, reflecting files and video feeds that held the power to shatter the corporate fortress Marcus Vell had built. Layla's fingers danced over the keyboard, her mind racing to bypass the last layers of encryption protecting the broadcast channel. "Almost there," she muttered, voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. Ethan leaned in, eyes scanning security feeds for any sign of incoming threats. "They're not far," he warned, his voice low but laced with urgency. "Cruz's team is moving fast. We have maybe 5 minutes before they breach this floor." Naomi, pale but resolute, adjusted the audio settings, ensuring the sound quality would carry the gravity of their revelations unfiltered. "If we don't get this out now, it might never see the light of day," she said, swallowing her fear. All those people. Their lives erased, manipulated, they deserve to know. Lila swallowed the lump in her throat and glanced at the encrypted folders labeled with chilling precision. Memory rewrites, emotional conditioning, subject logs, each file a testament to human lives violated beneath their feet. "Ready?" she said finally, fingers poised. Outside the control room, a cacophony of heavy boots reverberated down the cold concrete corridors. Javier Cruz, Marcus Vell's relentless security chief, led his team with ruthless efficiency. The corridors pulsed with the red glow of emergency lights, casting long, ominous shadows that seemed to close in on the trio. The building's usual hum was replaced by alarms blaring in shrill bursts, adding a frantic rhythm to the unfolding siege. "They're almost here," Ethan whispered, eyes flickering between the approaching threat and the screens. "Layla, you need to start the broadcast now." Taking a deep breath, Layla hit the final command. The system blinked, hesitated, then surged to life. On screens across the skyscraper and beyond, images flickered into view, faces of residents who were never told their minds were battlegrounds. Video footage of stark, sterile chambers where experiments twisted memory and identity. Confidential documents spilled across the digital landscape, revealing the corporation's tangled web of deceit and manipulation. For a moment, silence fell over the room, the gravity of the exposure settling like a shroud. Then the door burst open. "Stop them," Cruz barked, storming in with his team. Ethan sprang into action, engaging the guards with a mix of quick moves and improvised defense. The fight was brutal but brief. Every second Ethan bought was a lifeline for Layla. Naomi's fingers flew over the keyboard, monitoring the broadcast's reach. "We're live everywhere," she called out, voice taut with hope. "People are watching." The battle spilled into the cramped space, but Layla's gaze never wavered from the screens. She watched as the corporate veil was torn down for the world to see. Her own fragmented memories, once a source of torment, now fueled her resolve. This was more than exposure. It was a reclaiming of stolen identities. Outside, the wail of sirens grew louder, the city awakening to the scandal unfolding within its glass heart. The skyscraper, once a symbol of luxury and control, now stood as a beacon of defiance. As Ethan was forced back, bruised but unyielding, Lila's mind raced ahead. The broadcast was just the beginning. The fallout would be fierce, the enemies relentless. But in this moment, drenched in the stark light of truth, she felt a flicker of hope, a chance to reclaim not just her own life, but the autonomy of everyone trapped beneath 10 floors of lies. "We did it," Naomi whispered, voice trembling. Layla nodded, eyes fierce. "This fight isn't over, it's just begun." And as the screens continued to stream the unveiled horrors, the countdown to freedom and to reckoning had truly begun.